came down, and like for example, in the song "One Man Revolution," there really was a noose in my garage when I was 13 years old. There was Klan in my town, So and that experience and wrestling with issues of nonviolence, or being at union rallies and being tear gassed, or standing at the side of the road amongst rattlesnakes. Those things really happen. When you take those sort of vignettes from my journal and try to make them rhyme and mix them with some good incendiary politics. The goal of this was, on the one hand, to be the Black Woody Guthrie, and if I couldn't do that, to settle for being about 50% Johnny Cash and 50% Che Guevara.
Oh, those are some pretty good 50% if you can get them.
If you can get them. Good work if you can get it.
Good work if you can get it. When we first announced that Rage was going to play at Coachella, it was a one-off, and then there's 4 shows.
Yeah, 4.
Do you have a plan for the
right now? Right now I think there's the Rock the Bell shows, and maybe one or two more this summer that are kind of in the works. But that's the plan for right now. We'll figure it out.
In the time you guys were away, how much? I mean, obviously, did you and Zach talk?
Hardly. I mean, I ran into him once at a protest rally and stuff. But I mean, that's one of the great things about the reunion too. Is it's not just exciting to play that music, but it's exciting for the 4 of us to be friends again, which is great.
And I wondered how odd that must be when you spend so much time with somebody and you're obviously close and you obviously have an impact, to kind of have that moment where you're just like, hi.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was cool, and it's like we have such a long. All 4 of us, have like a long shared history of, of a lot of exciting things, a lot of tumultuous things, and a lot of really funny things. That we're able to. It's great to be able to, sort of laugh about that.
I mean, you're so much in the inside, but when we announced that you were going to be on the show, there was this response from the audience and people come. And for those who are not fans of your band or don't know much about your band, I'm just talking to a guy who's interested in politics. But for those who recognize you as Tom Morello, the musician, there's a much different relationship with you, and it's because of the band that you were in. It's because Rage was so important to them. Were you aware of that?
Well, I mean, I occasionally run into those fans on the street every day, so you get some inkling.
Yeah.
But, in the same way that the bands changed my life, like The Clash and Public Enemy, made me feel part of something bigger than the small conservative town that I grew up in. It made things seem possible beyond the very narrow parameters of, making the wrestling team or whatever. And it made me, like, my influences have been not just musical ones, but have been political ones as well. Bishop Desmond Tutu, who we're having on the show today, was an influence. Like when I was going to Harvard University, we built shanty towns in Harvard Yard to try to get the university to divest from corporations that did business in South Africa and their dealings with apartheid. So, like those people were absolutely as much inspirational to me in my music as, shredding guitar players.
When you go through the newspaper today, what are you thinking? What stands out? Was there something that sort of resonates with you more than another?
Well, I mean, the thing that most recently does is I was at the May Day rallies in Los Angeles where the police attacked a crowd of journalists and families, So that's, the thing too is like there's really no accountability, and like in my country we have a war criminal in the White House, and yet people are not rioting in the streets. That's hard for me to.
Dude, you were on stage when Zach said the president should be, what did he say? He should be shot?
No, what Zach said. That was misquoted on Fox News. Right. Not surprisingly, what Zach said was that we have a war criminal in the White House, which is indisputable. Crimes against peace, crimes against humanity, and crimes against the norms of war were the 3 subcategories of international law that were applied at Nuremberg, which got those guys hung. He said if those standards were applied to George W. Bush, he would be tried and hung as a war criminal. And I think that that's indisputable. But history and war crimes tribunals are run by the victors, not by the vanquished. Right. So until, you, me, and well, you're Canadian, but until me and Zach are haunting the halls of Congress, I don't know that we're going to be.
That's probably not going to happen in your lifetime.
Happen. We could at least ring the White House with pitchforks and torches and give them a good.
How much of the fact that that is the current climate in the United States and in England, where you're also big, and it's happening in Canada and other places. How much of that makes you think I need to make these kinds of songs, because this is what our life is?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the day that I decided that the Night Watchman would go from being something that I did is sort of this wandering troubadour playing at protest rallies to being an album and being something that I was going to appear on Canadian talk shows about, was the day after the 2004 election. I was just like, this is just insanity, and I need to use, to the best of my ability, all my creativity, intellect, and power to to try to stem this awful tide.
But it was also democracy. Second time around, they went for him.
Yeah, I worked for a U.S. Senator. Democracy, reads whoever raises, $200 million first, from Exxon and from Halliburton, that's kind of what democracy is. But it's not. I don't believe that you can just wait for the right party to be in office. I mean, you've got Desmond Tutu on the show today, right? At the time when he was calling for sanctions for the United States to have sanctions against South Africa, our president at that time, Ronald Reagan, was like, no, that's not what's best for them.
Yeah, we didn't do it here either.
Now we've got George Bush saying what we need is a troop surge in Iraq, when the Iraqi people and even the puppet government that we installed is saying, get the hell out of here. So I think there are some interesting parallels.
Please come back. It's good to see you again.
It's a pleasure.
Right on, man. Tom Morello, everybody. The Night Watchman, One Man Revolution. That's his solo record. Check it out. It's a really good listen. Lots more to come on the hour, including this.